Eric, Kurt, Eric. We have a single head, same thing with Chris. Although Matt's got a double head. And Brian, like Colin, is a triple red. And you probably know Colin by now. Pretty driven, right? That's good.
What we've done, probably in the last year, is measures that we can break down per individual and post that and be transparent. And that's really helped those who are down at the bottom raise their bars.
Yeah.
And then we're now piloting with our RNs and LPNs an incentive program every 6 months that they can earn up to $2,400 based on 3 measures that support the overall organization's goals. And so,
A bonus, you mean?
And so we started in January, and so we just finalized my scorecard for the nurses. And out of the 3 measures, we got a 5 out of 5 on 1, a 4 out of 5, and a 2 out of 5. And so they'll get like 80% of the payout for the first time.
So how long did it take you to implement that framework? Put in place in January. How long did you work before that?
We have already had an individual or a departmental scorecard, and they're used to seeing that piece. But there's so many measures that we track within the organization that I think that a lot of it gets lost. And so basically what we did is we just picked the top 3. Each leader got to pick the top 3 that they wanted to work on.
The highest payoff.
And yeah. And so from there, it was easy to pull over and so now we just focus on that first because they know there's financial incentive, and then we look at the overall scorecard. So, so we had a lot of it in place. There just wasn't any reward for it.
So as you implemented in January, how much has that increased the organization's performance? Step alone.
Yeah, we're supposed to be meeting in the next week or 2 with the compensation committee to find out of all the areas. I don't think inpatient nurses hit their target, but I think all the clinics and outpatient areas have. And the big one that I think held the inpatient down was the readmission rate.
Say what?
Readmission rate, increasing the number of readmissions per month to the hospital.
Increasing readmission?
Decrease. Yeah, there's penalties now if you're discharged and admitted back in within 30 days of being discharged for the same reason. And so Medicare now penalizes you 2 to 4% based on that readmission. And so there's a lot of money lost at the table where in the past, you know, if the patient was readmitted, you got compensated the same, and so you wanted that because that was volume.
Yeah.
And so now it's a different mindset of trying to really keep them out of the hospital because you lose money. So,
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
yeah, and we've been working probably 2 years organizationally on that rate, and I don't think it moved that much, and so I think that's why they brought it down to the staff level to say, we'll compensate you if you can help the organization meet this goal. So we'll see. They're going to pilot it for a year. So this December we'll know if they're going to continue. If they do continue it, then they're going to roll it out to other disciplines like physical therapists and speech therapists.
So they share in the cost avoidance. If there's an avoidance of additional cost because of the penalty, then they share in that success. Good. Feedback. How regularly do you provide useful feedback? They're always craving feedback. They want that. And you should be giving it to them. Here's a big question. Would any of your people leave if they receive an enticing offer from a competitor? Anybody want to talk about that?
I think money's a big player with that. If they're going to get offered more money, you know, $1 is a lot of money to most people. I haven't had so much lately, but probably about 4 years ago when I was on the nursing unit leading them, when I first went up there being new, I had 7 people probably within 3 months who had left to come down to Kansas City. I think the majority of them was because there was a lot of change that I was implementing that they didn't want to follow. And so I talked to each one before they left to really find out why. You know, their spouse have a different job. Are they moving? Is it an advancement, something different? Or are you leaving because of the change, or leaving because we're going to find out anywhere you go? And they were all leaving for the right reason, is what they said. But out of the 7, I had 5 come back within 3 months. And I re-interviewed them and asked them, you know, what they learned. And so they came back and they were much better workers.
What did they learn? By learning from the experience of leaving and not being satisfied with what they...
That basically there's going to be something that you don't like wherever you go, and you really have to learn how to deal with that within yourself, and really go back to your own values and purpose to see if it's going against them and not. And so when they got down to Kansas City, you know, why do the hour drive?
Yeah.
Same thing, you know, they're going through the same change. And when they work somewhere for so long, they just think it's that organization, that company, and then they go somewhere else and say, oh yeah, what Eric said is right, everybody's changing. So
I have a daughter who works up in Seattle for the logistics firm. She's been complaining over the last month about job pressure. She's exploring other options. And I said, just remember, the devil you know is the devil you know.
When you don't. That's very true.
And you can at least work with this one. If you manage it properly, you get a good relationship with your boss. Be able to express your concerns. And you as a leader ought to be able to set an environment where people who might be vulnerable to enticement for another job feel free to come in and talk to you about their concerns.
There's a lot of other benefits too, you know, because I think working in multiple organizations, and when I came to Heartland, you know, the majority of people there had been there for 25 years, so that's all they knew or know. And when they would consider leaving, I was like, well, you know, you get this type of incentive, you get this bonus for Christmas, you get this. And I'm like, from my own experience anywhere else that I've worked, we never got anything like this, you know. So just think of all the other pieces that you just expect because they've done it like this for so long. A lot of companies don't do that.
But I see, you know, what we were talking about last night, most CEOs are in a position of average about 3 years now. And I think we're seeing a lot of companies gone the days of pensions and give back to the way companies take care of people are so gone now that to go ahead and switch companies, I mean, there's no loyalty either way. The larger the company you're going to, and a lot of it has to do with you're seen as a number. So how do you do that?
Well, isn't that why they say it's more important for you as their personal leader? I mean, people stay for their personal manager more than the company nowadays. In most instances, I think in our company, people stay because of the company as well. But I think in most
It's like don't look
instances,
for a job, look for a boss, or whatever that saying is.
yeah,
You're looking for the person you're working under as opposed to.
yeah.
That's very true. I left one situation, I got to be a better leader. Yeah, we know which is better.
Right.
Know.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so your relationships with all the people where you're working, people everywhere, they really do count. They're important. All right, so now that you are in a position as a leader, you have a responsibility about their development. And so conversations naturally need to be addressing those possibilities, give them encouragement. I was coaching, I had a coaching session this week with a couple of ladies at Commerce Bank, and this one had told me that she's a very, very shy person, sort of introverted, but very, very capable, you can tell. And so she was a PMO, program management, lots of projects that she manages sort of at a more of an enterprise level. And she and another of her colleagues have been collaborating on the Agile process. You're familiar with that, Agile?
Mhm.
So teaching others a way of doing it there at the bank. And so it became pretty successful. It was very popular, well received. They were doing it twice a month, a couple hours each time, and they would bring up any and all comers would sign up for it. And they've been doing it for 3 or 4 months. And all of a sudden, her boss called her up one day and said, "Well, when is your next one, Mr. Moore?" I said, "Okay. My boss's boss is going to show up. The CFO is going to show up."
Mhm.
And it turned out to be very, a great thing for her, put her on the radar screen for promotion. But it really all went back to the fact that her boss challenged her, gave her a stretch goal in terms of her development. Has an ongoing discussion with her about her development as a leader, development and work, giving her opportunities for growth. Okay. So that first bullet, you can fall into the trap of being focused on the tasks and the numbers and the here and now and short-term focus, and missing the point that you've got a future that you're trying to help shape. And that you want your people to be part of that future. So those conversations and assignment possibilities need to be subject of your conversations. Anybody have experience doing that, identifying high potential people in your teams?
Yep.
Yeah. Michelle, why don't you tell us about that?
Well, I have a leader who actually came to us with 12 years leadership experience and had marketing at another company. She even had Europe for a while, but she came to us as, you had to start at the bottom, pretty much at our company, and have really been able to highlight her value. Our company, a lot of people have been there a long time. It's a lot about who you know. And so to help that trajectory go faster, to get her in groups of people that were collaborating across the country, inserting her with other managers across divisions, giving her high profile work that she could present on higher levels, was a way to show, what she offered and what a gem we have in her, and help her trajectory, go faster. And then I've got examples of just the opposite situation of somebody who came in with no leadership experience, but a lot of potential and able to find what they're good at and leverage it right away for the good of our team, for them to do something, above and beyond, not that same level by any stretch of the imagination, but above and beyond, so they can get some credibility and show what their value was right away inside of our own team.
Yeah. Okay.
I love doing that. It's one of the things about my job I love. So.
Yeah, you watch them improving their performance and their attitude changes, and outlook changes. People around them look at it and wow, okay, look what we can do. Anybody else?
Yeah, so it's interesting. We were just doing a thing for Jan's class. We had a research paper for company strategy, and I was talking about Chipotle, and it actually highlighted something that Brian and I have been talking about for a while. So they have 13 aspects that they look for in people that they hire, and it's they go, well, we believe that if this person has, you know, a good majority of like these 13 things, then they'll be successful with us, right? So then they hire them, and they see if it works out, right? But something that Brian and I have been talking about, originally it was like, well, okay, who's most equipped to be like on mission, but also have developed good leadership skills, you know, all this different stuff. And we at first were like, okay, well, other focus alone, because they've had the same type of formation, they've been through the same type of leadership situations, and they've experienced like mission as well. And so, will this work, right? Like they seem like the most capable potentials. But as we've been talking more and more, we don't want to make it look like we only would hire someone from focus, or like that's the only way to be a good leader, right? And so we were actually talking about that. Instead of saying we'll only focus alums, because that's actually not true, because there are a lot of focus alums that kind of slip through the cracks, to be frank. But it's actually highlighting, well, in the good ones, the ones that really show good potential, that have been able to highlight, like, okay, well, this is what makes them good. This is what makes them successful in what they do. To be able to list that out, and then just look for that in the people that we're trying to hire, rather than saying, well, only people from this pool.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a healthy way about going about it. In the Army, for many, many years, even after I was commissioned in '72, the most of the senior officers, commanders, that rise to the very top, general officer, will be graduates from West Point. But if you dig into that, you realize that it's really, for lack of a better term, cronyism. West Pointers will hire West Pointers, and then they'll advance them, and so on and so forth. So there was an effort underway about in the late, in the mid-70s, to centralize the selection of commanders, so that they would be selected on the basis of their record, not on the basis of their reputation, or the basis of where they went to school or anything else. So there would be a board convened in Washington, D.C., and they'd look at all the records, and then they'd say, okay, we have a requirement for X number of commanders in the infantry, commanders in the artillery, commanders in the aviation. So they would publish a list each year. So that was a big deal. The same thing, they did the same thing for promotion long before that, but that never seemed to be as much of a problem. But the command appointments, command positions are the most sought after, because if you could prove yourself in command, commanding units, you're going to move faster. So the same thing applies with.
And they did that all, Wally, just by paper? Like they didn't have those people in front of them when they made those decisions?
No, they had there's all paper and a picture. It says everybody.
That seems so odd, doesn't it?
Well, there's a lot of, they had, you're talking about roughly 2,000 people in a year group that was under consideration. And so that's a lot to do. I sat on those boards, and I know it's very hard to get it all done. They give you a system, and if you look at the picture, some people know who they are, some people don't. Sometimes there are folks who have a reputation, but you got to deal with what the record says.
Wow. Interesting.
That's why a lot you don't want a bad fitness report, right? I think it's because it's going to carry with you.
Oh, yeah,
And then
that's right.
you're going to read it and go, ooh,
That's for sure.
this one command didn't go so well. So, but I think, just the leverage of that, because if you're bringing in West Point grads, you're not bringing any diversity either.
Right.
Now we all think the same way, right? Or they're all going to
Yeah.
have the same experience of focus. You're not going to have any outside the box things. So it's more find the characteristics at work.
That's true about Chipotle too, right? I mean, they don't have, if 95% of their managers, they hire they take from their minimum wage jobs and groom them. And they don't have a lot of diversity at all,
They're going to think this, they're all going to be programmed to think the same way.
which is working for them right now.
Well, they do in a sense because like they know how the business works, and so they're coming from the same maybe managing mindset. But as far as like their personality and like the way they interact with the world, it is very diverse. And so then you get like the different types of ideas and how to market to millennials and all that stuff. It's actually been coming from people that are so different from these.
Yeah, you do want a common culture. That's for sure.
Common culture.
Something like this will tell you the diversity. Somebody, if they use some kind of instrument that reflects who their person is, can be very helpful to achieve their goals for diversity or whatever they're trying to achieve. Okay. Okay, so how do you make decisions? Let's throw darts at the board.
Sometimes you may.
Yeah, sometimes it seems like that's what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are they doing up in that smoke-filled room? Throwing darts. So, yeah, I mean, you've got results might be better if you did some research on the critical factors. How about considerations in making decisions having to do with relationships and personalities? And for all these things, all have to be implemented right by human beings, people you know. So that would be effective. So, and then how effective are your decisions going to be if you don't really engage with the high performers in the organization to tap into their knowledge and their experience so that you can refine the implementation and get a decision that's really going to be carried out well.
And sometimes it's harder said than done because it's easy to identify the low performer and so I got to spend over there because I got to bring this up. And almost realizing your future is the high performers.
Right.
They're the ones that are help develop those other people up, or that you're going to capture this person's knowledge.
Yeah. So what's the balance here? I mean, you got to. That's what you get paid the big bucks for, right? Because if you've got low performers, like the bottom 5 or 10% of the organization, how much time do you spend with them in order to get them to turn around?
As a leader or as a manager? They're two different.
Yeah, either way.
I think I don't know, as a leader, you would identify where their intention is. Like if they just are crappy workers and they don't try at all and they have no desire to like learn to get better, then like that's when you know, okay, I'm just gonna cut that off. But if they have a desire to grow and they're willing to learn and they just don't know, that's the type of people you can turn around well.
The thing you got to be careful of is they're very, they'll suck you for everything, and then you let your high performers go unnoticed for the most part. So when you identify that issue, I had a physical therapist in October that wasn't performing very well on a few things from patients' complaints and other therapists about his documentation. And so sat him down and just told him this is what's been reported, and we kind of confirmed it. And course, he said that he wasn't aware and all that. And so I told him that I wanted him to go back out with another therapist, you know, on one visit every day for that first week, and then we'd follow up the week after. And so while he was doing that, then I had the other therapist communicating to me after each day whether he was receptive and answering his phone and all these, you know, things. And so they gave me good feedback. And so I met with him. I gave him the feedback, and basically I met with him for 2 weeks, or we did it after 1 week, then after 2 weeks, then 30 days, and then 60 days. And by that time, he had got back on track, and I didn't have to spend, you know, every day checking. And he was involved. He was very appreciative afterwards. He started to talk that he had some things going on at home. And so it doesn't always work out like that. But bottom line, when you have that talk, you follow up with them and validate very quickly if they're not hitting it. You just set that expectation, and by that time, a few weeks, you're going to know if they're serious or not.
Yeah, as a manager for some of the factors, I think that's what we go through. I agree with you saying, but I can easily identify really good performers. Easy good performers and we're really good ones for the bad ones. But I think as a leader, we need to understand the culture behind it. Why are they like they are? What is going on? Do you have the tools to do your job?
Yeah.
Do you understand your job? Have you been trained to work with? There's a lot of these other things that I can go into it that help define why a person is the way they are.
Situational.
Well,
Some.
that's what I'm saying though. I think you can have high performers that aren't performing highly right now because of XYZ variables.
Like James McGarrett.
Right.
But I
Our
agree with
accounting
Eric. I think how I choose to handle that, instead of me getting sucked into that low performer, I find a peer. You know, I find a peer that I trust that's being developed as a manager, so I can be coaching that person who is my high potential on how they handle a low potential.
Right.
Or a
And
person who's
demonstrate the
experiencing
behaviors.
problems, right? So very much like that, because that's a good, I feel like that's a good use of my time, and they get developed, and then that person either decides that this is the job for them or it's not, and you
That's
know,
how
whatever
it's-
happens.
That's how it's supposed to work, right? That's what we're trying to do.
The challenge becomes that I think is make sure it's productive time, because I do the same thing,
Right.
Mhm.
but then, you know, it's gotta be productive for the other person. I mean, they can't keep doing it forever and realize it's not changing, right? So
Right.
gotta lead them into that next thought.
You gotta
But then-
Warning
But I see
letter.
they do the same thing down, but may not pull that, they may not see that lack of productivity. It takes longer. You know, people below you do the same thing.
One thing I always say to my reports is, are you working harder than they are? Like if I have delegated someone to work with someone who's struggling, your high performer, what they do, they're high performers, right? So they throw themselves in to turn this person around, and I'm like, whoa, who's working harder, you or them? If you're working harder, you're doing, that's an issue. That's an issue. So that's the most I coach in those type of situations. Because when you leverage your high performers, suddenly it becomes a reflection of them. Can they help this person? It's like we got to pull back. If you're working harder than them, they got to be putting the most in it. You got to figure out their motivator and push that button so they'll do the work. So
Going back to what Eric said about tools and stuff, we identify when we have a conversation, either skill, will, or hill.
right,
You know, so skills, did we teach you everything? Is there something you don't understand? What can I get you? You know, and then there's the hill that it's going to take some time, but let them know within 30 days, you should be at this expectation. And so once you've done that, then it just comes down to their own will. And when you know you've given them everything, then they're not going to change. And then it's easy to make that decision then, because you say, I've given you this, I've done this, you know, and you're still not where you need to be. And so therefore this isn't a good fit.
we're slow though. Our HR is slow.
Yeah.
You what, slow?
Our HR is very slow. We can't turn people quickly if it's not working. We
I don't think I ever met anybody who's fast in HR.
yeah. Well,
We
I think our philosophy is we're gonna err on the side of the employee. That's we're gonna try to do what's right by them. We're gonna give them every opportunity. We're gonna go through all these processes. I mean, gosh, you could just write it out for a year at our, you know.
But I think it's gotten so much more self-protective out there, because I didn't even know, you know, dealing sometimes with our HR attorney, they're even stretching it.
Mhm.
Or, oh, let's give them a,
Yeah.
generous severance, and like, they don't deserve anything.
Yeah,
Well, do
yeah.
you want to just pay them to go away? Well, I guess if you want to, but why don't we just have them go away, right?
That's actually.
So it's just everybody's becoming that much more self-protective.
That's an
I
interesting
worked for a
thing.
company that had an HR attorney on retainer 24/7.
Well, that's what we have.
It didn't matter whether you were just verbally saying you did this wrong and you correct it, or you were ready to fire someone. Before you even spoke to the person about it, you had to call an HR attorney, get his opinion, and get his decision on how you should handle it.
Before you could even coach?
Yes, and I had a gentleman that I needed to immediately fire because of some inappropriate actions he did. And it took me 2 hours to get approval from him to do it. And then I had to have 4 other managers in there as witnesses to be able to fire him, which was just a major.
But yeah, the ability for like lawsuit nowadays is
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like you can fire someone with having followed all the due process, and you can still get a lawsuit pulled up on you, and it's just ridiculous.
From experience, document
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
document and witness.
all the time.
And
It's been my
that's one of
saving
the
grace.
reasons that this gentleman had to fire. The HR attorney knew that his father was an attorney, and they wanted all their ducks in a row. And I actually had to have the police come escort him off the property at the end of it.
That's why HR is so slow. You gotta watch out for stuff like that.
Okay, taking action, right? Producing desired results in a timely manner. So much information overload, if you will. So you rarely need more data. What you need is more effective actions. You can get stuck in the management mindset by your never-ending search for additional information. That's one of my triple blue. There's a tendency on my part to always be finding more, doing more research. You know, Chris is in there now.
Yep.
Chair.
The same thing.
There's never, you're not gonna get a perfect time. And so just be responsive to what you're sensing around you. Okay. And then small actions followed by another one, followed by another one. As long as you know where you're going, just keep moving. Don't let an opportunity go by simply because you're trying to find some kind of perfect solution. Right? Anybody have any experience with this? You seen it?
You know, I know you said it was blue, but I see that a little bit more, and I'd be interested for folks for greens. You know, data driven. I don't know, who's green?
I
Would you
think they-
agree or disagree
I
or,
think to overanalyze the same data though, whereas like we search for more.
okay.
I don't know, maybe that's a distinction.
Yeah.
But both
Well,
have.
you get the same data set. Is he looking for the underlying causes of nausea? That's what I would do. That's, I can look at something and somebody else can look at the same data set and I'll say, well, there's something underneath that. And I'll discover it, or I'll at least put something there. Well, yeah, I guess that is. And I say, but there's still more yet. More. I go down to the root causes about 5 levels down. Not
And then it
satisfied.
resolved itself already, or it already,
No, the
people
or
that
blew
don't
up.
think like that are
The
annoyed by
iceberg
it.
above the water that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
There's lots underneath.
We have a lot of different committees you gotta take things to get approval, so like when you wanna add new staff, it's gotta go through the labor committee, and I think depending on the various people, they want more information. And it's just like, cause I think that's part of the non-clinical experience, as Michelle and I were talking before, versus a numbers person, and that it doesn't always match up, and that you really have to understand both pieces. And I don't like to dig into data, which on my papers I do too much, but I'm like ready to make a good decision. You know, I look at best practice and understand what's going on. But when they don't understand you're part of the business, they want more information versus taking what you know and saying, okay. So But some of the, I think we get held up a lot of times with people wanting more information than what's really needed.
Especially from an engineering perspective.
Yeah, I was gonna say your business
Yeah,
is kind of
sure.
easy to fall into that, I bet.
It is, I find myself doing it at times, right? So you're looking at data, I think curves the spot on. I really do have to be black and white sometimes. Well, no, you don't. It's just that analysis paralysis on each product. Does that effort really provide value add anywhere? So there's an old saying out there: shoot the engineer, move on with the program.
Shoot the engineer. So the 3 conversation perspectives. All right, make your point. Number 2 is understand others. Number 3 is examine the new possibilities. So, the most productive conversations have all 3 perspectives at the same time. And I'd say understand others, understand their perspective, understand their point. You also need to understand them as well as understand yourself. That's this business about personality and understanding what they're likely to be energized by.
In a room full of dynamic people, that's how they take practice.
Yeah, right. I sit on this one school board, and man, some of our meetings are just. I'm taking over as the vice chair this next year, so I'm gonna put a new regime. These meetings are gonna be.
Are there gonna be some action items that come out of this?
Huh?
Are there gonna be some action items that come out
Well,
of
of course, yeah, but the point is that they'll beat dead horses and,
There's nobody moving them along.
yeah.
There's nobody,
Just gotta
nobody.
keep moving. So, they talk about stuff that doesn't matter. So.
I'm surprised when you said you were on this and this was happening, that your next statement was gonna be, and I'm gonna step down, but instead you're gonna step up. Which is another way.
He's
maybe to
heard
handle
enough.
it.
So let's take a break here. Okay, so it's 20 till. Let's take 15 minutes. Come back at 5 minutes to 2.
We got holes in bottles again.
You got what?
Holes in P&G bottles.
You got holes in bottles?
Yeah.
I'm no manufacturer, bro.
Oh, bottles.
No, it's not
Man,
good.
who's our quality manager?
Have a pinhole in them.
P&G is Procter & Gamble?
You sure don't have someone over there?
I don't want to work for him after I.
Last week it was an overflow issue with Beckinger, Francis Mustard.
Now, does this happen frequently in your industry, or is this just an issue with this plant, you think?
It's a big issue with the plant.
Because it seems like there's always.
So the last 2 weeks of the 14, 16-hour days is because they were trying to qualify a new set of tools and a new wheel on a line that still had other broken apparatus. So I'm like, what are you doing? Why are we trying to force the qualification? Well, we need the tools running. I'm like, no, you need to fix it wrong.
So how's it got holes in it? I mean, is it plastic or is it something in the machinery?
This one looks like it's a parting line failure, which somebody went in, there was a stuck piece of plastic, probably took a tool, we cleaned it out and broke the parting line. We just got done going through this exercise, over 2 months of production being affected that way. So I'm trying to raise all the red flags right now to say, turn the machine off.
So they're fixing it, and then they break a little piece off and now creates a pinhole as everything else is going down.
Yeah, there are methods on how to fix things, lessons learned, right? So best practices that.
Then you don't know until you test them.
Right.
So when they get in and fix a machine, do they just do a run real quick, so test a couple, make sure, or they just start running the line again?
So part of the culture change I'm trying to do is that they have to put a validation step in place. A lot of people go, oh, well, hey, it looks good, it looks fine.
They actually started back up and just crank out bottles.
Because, right, well, I fixed it, I'm convinced I fixed it, I don't see the problem, with it, but they never took it to the lab to actually have it tested to see if the fix was effective. So it's like, okay.
So I just shipped out and then P&G's calling and saying, hey,
What was weird is this started late last night, or late yesterday, and I'm just not hearing about it. Problem number 2.
yeah,
That's how much product have you made?
no one called yesterday. So what they want to do is the quick fix,
Especially.
and then not validate the fix, or just start running the line again, move on.
whatever the next thing is. to do.
So my QA who got there here a little bit ago, she just sent me an email saying, this is a major problem, I need your help. All right. Thank you for raising up the flagpole.
So you're on call like that 24/7?
So you said that there's a delay in reporting this?
Major events like that, that's what I would call a catastrophic event. If the line is still running 60 minutes later and it hasn't been turned off, I consider that a catastrophic. I need to be notified right away. If not me, then the plant manager needs to be notified.
So isn't somebody monitoring the line?
We do, we have some opportunities there. But yes, there's supposed to be monitoring the line. What's bothering me right now is it sounds like we were aware of the situation for more than 6 to 8 hours. So I'm trying to understand. And because of the work we've been doing this week, my night shift person I had moved days for training. So she doesn't go back until tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So the regular line auditors communicated to the shift supervisors who obviously didn't turn off the machine to report about it. So call tree is what I implemented a while back. I'm not following the call tree right now. Yeah, is what?
Looks pretty outside. You don't
It
walk
looks
out
nice.
there.
So none of that got shipped to the client.
I don't know. I don't know. P&G pulls several trucks a day for months.
Oh, I see.
So, and we don't practice FIFO. I can't even tell you where the inventory is at in the warehouse without being at times. A 24-hour period is equal to a lot, and then this goes to a new lot code. And then they just put it in the warehouse wherever they can find it. So, can I see an age inventory report? Yeah, but I don't want to show you. So what are your carry costs or anything beyond 30 days, guys? I mean, we figured out even stuff. Oh, well, we're pretty sure we rotated everything through. I said, okay, then why do I got a pallet out here from a year and a half ago? You want to scrap it? We're right off. We will do it. Several little things like that just, I'll refer to them, they're hot bunch for me because to me it's just laziness.
Yeah, somebody's not paying attention.
And then when I look at the leadership within the plant, which is at my level, there's not enough improvements or commitment to get this fixed. It's, what do you really want me to do here? Which causes the issue with my leadership.
Well, let me ask you this. Has your supervisors received any kind of training?
I provided training for 2 months. My first 2 months being work. That's where we developed the call trees. That's where the verification plan is. I mean, because when there was QA, there was production, 2 separate departments. We have a suspect product up here, where production just got thrown back. So we have to stop all that. So a lot of the training is back. We will work together as a team to provide the problem instantly. So right now, I'm just trying to speed up the process and mitigate how much is going into incident hardware area.
It's got to be cutting into your bottom line.
So I ran through the P&Ls and plant manager day before yesterday. You have there's a very they're not a control on labor to begin with, let alone the production numbers, so then downtime. So I'm used to OEE metrics where we break everything into an intricate part, and that's a lot of what we've been putting in there. Consolidate.
Yeah.
Basic stuff, blocking and tackling. Yeah. This is part of the highlight.
Yeah.
Yes.
What you guys doing?
I'm looking up, when is Thanksgiving this year? November 26th.
Are you requesting the day off? Or
No.
you flying?
I'm looking at, so I talked to Chris about, because she said she's going on a trip with us, right? And if you look at our syllabus, it says May 1st through the 8th question mark. I'm like, hey, do you have any more clarity? Because like, we all have to take off of work. Like, we have what? And she started laughing. She's like, yeah, you know, actually I do. She goes, I think it's actually going to be the week of April 23rd. So it's
You going to that guitar shop? Curtis?
I'm like,
Instead of going to
we
that
got
guitar
like
shop?
shots, you know what I mean?
Thinking about it, yeah.
I think it's the 23rd through the 28th.
How was your guys'
Maybe the
4th of July?
23rd.
Yeah, mother-in-law.
It's
She
good.
goes-
She's actually still
Because
here
she
today.
goes,
Today's their actually.
she goes,
Oh,
my schedule.
Did you guys surprise her then with all
Oh,
the?
she
She goes, let me follow up with him and I'll have like a
Yeah.
John update.
That's good.
Yeah, we had people in from Seattle, Houston.
But it's still good to
Dang,
know,
they
you know.
came
Yeah,
all
yeah.
over it.
It's still relevant.
And what was her 60th?
Then I learned how to launch a bowling ball.
Launch a bowling ball?
Yeah.
As in,
We were making, we always make sparkler bombs.
uh,
So my mother-in-law used to work for fireworks, pyrotechnics company. And one of their fun things they did was launch bowling balls. So we dug a hole in the ground, I don't know, a foot deep, just the size of a bowling ball. Dropped it down in there. And then the first time we drilled an inch and a half hole halfway through the bowling ball for black powder. And it just sort of fills up the day. So I put a sparkler bomb underneath of it and shot it over 50 feet in the air. Then the second time I tried to do it, it made the hole so big that it didn't go anywhere. It went from about the size of a bowling ball to this big and over 2.5 foot deep. And it started out at 50.
is it loud?
Oh, yeah.
So, Barney, you gonna give me some tickets this season?
I do, we gotta figure out like a fun way to do it, but like, I'll have absolutely some preseason tickets.
Yeah.
We'll do like some kind of
I
like,
think my little boy. I mean, I'll take 4 if you have them, but 2 would be great.
typically I'll have 2 to 4, but I don't get them, we'll see.
Just random.
Usually I don't get them until like that week.
Yeah. I'll even go with you. I mean, I'll be just,
I'll be working.
you gotta work it?
Yeah, I mean, we work all the games.
Oh, you do? What do you do then? You walk around?
Game is not too bad. I mean, it depends. So like for me, we have a lot of partners, Mosaic not being one of them, but they do a lot of their stuff in season. So I need to make sure that everything's running smooth, that we're fulfilling what we set for them, basically. And then we have partners that have suites, and I just go in there to make sure everyone's, just shake hands, make sure everyone's okay. Yeah, it's like I just have a list of things that you just run through. It's not too bad. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. But I get to see it.
Do you have to go to the away games, or do you have work when you come to
No, I don't travel. Honestly, during the season, it's like away games are such a deep run. It's like a bye week for me. Like I just get a weekend to read because otherwise I'm working 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week.
Right.
So yeah, road games are awesome because I can just take a deep breath.
Now, does your work get busier during the season then?
Together.
Because what you do,
Well, this was my first, I still haven't even been through a full year cycle in my current role, but it's actually busier than the last.
Once his file.
It is?
Because we're ramping up like
Once
new
it works
sales,
out, and once
so much is going on
wonder if
right
it
now.
could be that picture that he took.
what's
It had
your
that special-
girlfriend or fiance do?
He has
She's
special,
a girlfriend right now.
Okay, I can't remember.
She's the executive assistant to the CFO.
Oh, for the chief?
phone
Yeah.
scanner.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah,
what
so I met her-
Chris
Is that how you met her?
Yep.
Was
Could
that-
that be it?
Now, you guys work like in the same office? and all
No,
that?
like
Oh,
it's, like, cause we went to HR about it, and she's like, it's not a big deal, like, don't feel like you guys are feeling weird about it at work. She goes, it's especially nice because you guys don't work together, so there's no like potential conflict of interest.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll see her, but
Yeah.
I don't, we don't
Yeah.
work crazy.
I feel like I'm gonna have to go to my work and print and scan
Well,
this stuff.
I follow the thing, but I gave the top end
Hey,
because it was then, the bonus rate was up 2%, so I gave the top end of that percent.
Like
Yeah, I
that.
realized that
That makes a difference.
car rating was still eligible.
Was it your
You got
file
the-
show that you're
45.
trying to send?
Yeah.
It's a spam
So
block.
it's eligible for it.
It will
And then
send my,
you got
it will
car,
send my
it was
work
actually
because
able
it's something about a spam, so I tried it on my
Chris-
work mail and my Gmail, it won't go.
It was like a, it's a, go to him or anyone.
No.
Which means
So that's why today's not this evening.
I'm gonna say, a little shelf it very fast. It's not fun, because I've never tried to do that.
That might, then maybe we.
What do you want me to do?
That's Mr. Seeger's letter.
Oh, finally got my chance.
That's clearly.
It's still not going to me.
And the other one just said, yeah.
So we all have different thoughts, so
Yeah,
as
one
everybody's
PDF
talking out why they would do
is-
what they would do.
I can just delete it.
Sorry.
It's
Yeah.
just an article, we can just delete that coming in short. we can just delete
I
that.
think
It's rather
it's
robust for a while.
probably
You know, after a while, we realized.
Yeah, that's that fax thing that they use. What is it? Oh, no, that's the
I had,
wrong one.
what's that, with,
That one's all.
or some guys from Portland to the town, so. It's not
Well,
gonna be deal with them. but then
yeah,
you get
Just delete that one completely.
other stuff, some chasing that down, and
So,
then the tail end of that.
Curtis, did you have any questions about our paper, with all the stuff I
Well,
sent you
you got
guys?
well, actually, I was gonna talk to you today about.
But then everything got kind of go push back. So it's right, it's right, and so figure this out. Well, I actually said, hey, I'm,
Well,
you know, I can make that work if you can be flexible, but I have something scheduled, I gotta get some of it done.
Yeah, a lot of it
I mean,
in the,
so do you
all
have
the
that for
attachments
this
will
file?
have the
Yeah.
different.
Because you just wanna send that
Sections for each
Yeah.
of
Can you
those.
send that back to me and we'll try to.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of complex.
And maybe
So I
mine do it,
think
maybe
that
it'll
we
go
got
on
some
mine.
Work for that, something.
But we'll,
So then
let me
it-
try mine
Kind of
first.
just take that principle and kind of just like write about it.
This is just the weirdest.
And I'll
thing.
look at
I've done a lot of
it as
research.
you guys
I've done
send
a
it, and
lot of
I can,
hospitals.
I can get this
Get
right.
down,
Figured out
This week,
thoroughly.
I think, I don't know, we're gonna try to have our.
It'd be nice.
I probably tweak the word. or
Because
two.
they-
You started at 1700, you done outstanding.
James
I hear you.
from that.
I'd like to.
Yeah.
I don't think
You look at the percentage of
I'll be pretty busy, I've got family coming in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
So maybe you can't this
So as long as
time.
you're-
Well, I'm gonna try to do some,
I feel good about the content.
Saturday,
So I think
Sunday.
as I do it, then we'll be able to.
depending on what I,
Yeah,
and I'll still have, I mean,
that's what I found, some of the things.
I'll still be able to
I just took it.
do some work by hand.
I've got some stuff actually.
So I'm sure.
Read
Read through it all the time.
Half hour.
Yeah. I
I
just plan on sleeping tomorrow.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, or help.
Oh,
Like, of course, I'm from the
Yeah, today, this
the
afternoon.
west coast.
Today's
high
the day the
desert, so-
kids to the movies. I'm gonna have the house to myself for a little bit. I'm like,
You gonna take a nap? I put sports on. What was it?
there may be an adult beverage in that apple.
Just one.
Just want to think this out, relax.
We can enjoy adult beverage here before we leave and just be able to relax right now. That's some of the, we won't have to wait a second. I'm thinking closer.
I like it. You may want to run up by Raleigh for a Matt there down on the couch having a beer.
I'm a class.
I'm in after
I
class.
can hear you, Raleigh.
I'm in after class.
Yeah, this is some good stuff, Ryan.
Boy, I'm loving this program.
All right.
Michelle, I'm gonna send this back to you.
I even took this book, I downloaded, I got the
See if you even get it, okay?
Okay.
iTunes version on my iPad, so I've been driving around in the car too. But I find my mind wanders, I clear stuff, and I start thinking, oh, how can I apply this, or how should I be doing this at work? And who can this fit with? And maybe I'm not doing enough of this stuff. But then I realize I'm like, oh, I just missed a bunch. Constantly rewinding.
That's,
But
there's. with
But I
all
like-
those,
I like
there's
it.
a
I
lot
like
to
that.
digest.
What's that?
There's a lot to digest with all that reading we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
It's, you know, I was telling everybody on this side, I just kind of got to a point where it's almost like, I'm so full of the different thought processes that I'm just kind of shutting down, because I need to go back, reread a lot of stuff and really find.
Well, you'll pick it up. You'll
And they all
recognize
blend
what works for
together
you.
too, so then
well, this gets into the what a leader does, so it starts getting in your mind, right? So it's just, so I found this pretty interesting in terms of
Mhm.
doing enough of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's get there.
So there's this little chart, the maturity levels for managers and leaders. Okay, so the idea is you pick out where you are, you're a first-line manager, or you're up in the C-suite. And for building relationships, developing others, making decisions. And the admonition here is to consider where you are and also the next higher level as you're having leadership conversations. So the book, Burson and Stieglitz identified best practices in these conversations, and not surprisingly starts off with know your people, right? For obvious reasons, we've heard this before, right? But they do take a particular tack, and that is trying to find out what your direct reports have in the way of hopes and dreams.
Mhm.
What
Yeah,
are their goals?
I like that part. I started to add that to my, when I interview people, I've got some questions, and so I've added some of those to interviews, but then for those who are already hired on during my 30, 60, 90 day with them, I've added that, and then we're getting ready to do our yearly evals in August, and so I'm gonna add a couple of those questions too, so I like that.
Know them, know your people as people. Just ordinary lives, and just getting to know them on a very personal level, and so you can relate to them, connect with them, cultivate the relationships that you're trying to build, and then work on up through developing them.
Our IT just did a facelift to our intranet, and so now each caregiver can go out and create their own page. And so there's questions that they even put on there about, you know, what are your interests? How do you like to be recognized? What's your favorite things to do? And so as they complete it, then as leaders too, we can access that. So I really like that part, because it gets you to know them better.
That's good.
Yeah, I took, actually, I took some from him that he does with his folks, and kind of aligned it to fit my one-on-ones. And so now the first question really comes down to, you know, something about them, you know, how are you? Or, hey, you just got back from vacation, what'd you do? Hey, what's going on with your family? Just, you know, something more personal to kind of build that into my routine on a weekly basis versus the once in a while basis.
When I was with Booz Allen and Facebook first came out,
Mhm.
somebody in the firm had this great idea that everybody in Booz Allen would have their own Facebook page. Not with Facebook, but internal.
Mhm.
Very similar to what you're talking about on the intranet. And so everybody would have they would populate this page with, of course, a picture and some personal information. So that people could just, people you've never met, can be looking at your quote unquote Facebook page and get to know you better. Investing in people, I think that is a great practice because you're signaling a commitment to them, investing in their development. That will give you a high return on that investment. There's research that shows that for every dollar that you invest in training and development for your people, you get a return of 40%, 30 to 40% in higher level of performance.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's good.
significant. Yeah. Because this is a component of engagement.
Yeah.
There's lots of research done on engagement, but that point about getting people to respond to your leadership, working with them, engaging with them, keeping them focused, energized, and involved in what they're doing, not drifting off and looking out the window and watching the clock and not paying attention to the production line, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like it also ties back to the speed of trust, right? So then, just in the terms of investing in people, sometimes the person just feels trusted.
Yeah.
And because of that, then more engaged and more likely, and then it just reciprocates kind of back and forth.
So I just remind myself, and I'll bring it next time. I have a whole stack full of research findings on leadership development and the results in organizations. And I'll bring that next time and we'll go through it so you can see.
Cool.
What is today, the 11th? Okay.
He's trying it.
What's wrong?
It says there's this kickback of a spam of some sort, so I'm breaking down each thing and sending them separate and putting them in different files and
Wow.
for Dave.
PDF, I think.
What kind of file?
Oh,
What
you
kind of
can
a
get
file
it.
is it that you're trying to send?
It's just regular PDF, and it was supposed to be in at 8 this morning, and I sent it at last night, and it's been ongoing all morning.
Oh,
It's homework,
Did you
know.
do the
So
PDF? I just sent you?
yeah, I
You tried
sent
to
it
send that
to.
by
What's
itself?
the,
Yeah.
what's the size of the file?
It's not that
They're
big.
small.
Yeah, I don't know
Can
what
you
it's
take a
It's only a
picture of it
9-page
and send it?
PDF.
I don't mean to disturb class. I'm just gonna. I got one more thing to send. I'll be back engaged. As you guys know, it's been on my mind.
Oh, so it's okay. So you get exception.
It's not on your mind as long as you better wait.
Okay. Okay, balance the conversations. Spending sufficient time with high potential. Looking at alternatives. Develop a plan. Should not be plant. Should be develop a plan. With action assessment. There's another one. Use both mindsets, both management and leadership. Lead and manage. But there's a different blend for everybody's position. If you're at the top of the organization, it's less in management, more about leadership. If you're at the front line, it's certainly a different focus there. And hold all four conversations. Think about where you were in the past week. How many of those conversations were you having? All three conversational perspectives. I think we talked about that before. Setting priorities. Everything's a top priority. Nothing gets done. Depersonalize your next difficult conversation. Focus on what's right rather than who's right. We went through that pretty well in the crucial conversations piece. Mentoring and coaching, getting to imagine a higher level of responsibility, move in that direction, and then set expectations. A lot of that is managing expectations, going back to the discussion we had last week, that pool of shared meaning. You're always contributing to that, and if you're in dialogue with people, they're contributing to it. And by doing that, you are sharing expectations with each other about the organization. So you're always doing that, shaping expectations. He talked about in the book here, new rules. People skills are more important than technical skills. Be straightforward about your values, be clear. What do they mean by paying it forward? Remember that?
If you help enough people get where they want to go, they'll help you get where you want to go.
That's an aspect of it, yeah, but I think another point.
It was a story, I can't remember. I'm trying to think back to
You're
it.
looking, paying it forward, you're looking to the future. You're
You're passing on your wisdom, essentially. You're
What's that?
passing, like,
Yeah.
you know, passing on what's been passed on to you.
the truth.
Basically just transferring the information.
But you're mindful of the future. What you're doing is you're setting the conditions for future success. Right? So when you help build when you help a relationship partner, you make a deposit in the relationship bank.
Mhm.
When you do something stupid, you make a withdrawal from that bank.
Just walk around saying, deposit, withdrawal.
Okay. Compete vigorously, but with a long-term view. It's okay to have short-term objectives and be looking at the here and now, but also you have to have a long-term view, know where you're going. What do I mean by yes and, as opposed to either or?
Well, that was about getting both, getting both what you're trying to do, yes and this versus this or that,
Right,
so
that's right, it's not a,
people want end results.
it's not a win-lose, it's a
Right.
win-win. It's like we discussed last time on Crucial Conversations. It's not, don't fall in the trap of the suckers or the fool's
Yeah.
choice, the sucker's choice. The idea is that you can find a win-win there somehow. So think about both and.
It also helps when you're talking with people to keep them engaged, because it creates that mindset of like creativity and to build together versus saying like, yeah, but, and then you go on something else that keeps it flat. We're saying yeah, and it shows that you're actually responding to what they're saying, so now they're more likely to come back with more.
Keeping them engaged. Command and control. No more command and control. What do you mean by that?
Really want to talk about the silos.
Silos, yeah, that's an aspect of it.
We want to make sure we spread out, spread out.
Now, command,
I think it's
Yeah.
like drilling with an iron fist, like the old
Yes.
mentality that
right, treating people like they're machines.
Yeah.
Manipulating. It's talking about manipulating to get to talk.
Right. Rely on those techniques. Very, it can become very toxic in a healthy organization.
Does that have, and this is probably a stereotype, so it's good to ask this question, does that happen in the military a lot? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's what
Oh, yeah.
you
There's
think.
a hierarchy, very rank conscious. And it is, takes a very confident leader to try to downplay that. There are a lot of things that can be done. You just have to work at it. And funny story that there was this colonel who was a regimental commander. Okay? And he was this was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and it was Christmas Eve. So he had put out in his own regiment, in his organization, that while we have guard duty on Christmas Eve, I don't want any soldier on guard duty who is a married soldier and should be home with his family on Christmas Eve. It means only the single soldiers would be out there. Now, it's unfortunate that single soldiers, but if they're not on vacation, if they don't take leave, then they're there in the barracks. Probably just as well, they're not going to see family. They're going to be there anyway, so might as well have them. Whereas the married soldiers ought to be home with their families. So he decided he was going to follow through and find out if people were following his order. And so he checked all the guard posts in his area, and he found one soldier who was married and he was on guard duty. So his driver was there with him, and he went to the soldier and said, "Okay, give me your gun, your weapon, your rifle," which is, he was armed as an armed guard. He said, I will take your post as a colonel. You get in my vehicle here, my driver's going to take you to your family. So he stayed on that. So when the sergeant of the guard came to relieve that, he got a surprise. That colonel standing there with a weapon. And there's a guy who communicated humility, but he was also trying to enforce. It was a very complex lesson. But the soldiers in that unit loved him because he was not so conscious of his rank that he overlooked what he was trying to achieve. To reinforce the point. But you're right, it is, and I think you can find that in any organization. You can find rank consciousness there, hierarchy, whatever. Another example is, there's a story out of this book about a CEO of a grocery store chain. And as he traveled around the countryside and visited all the stores, he realized that there were employees were parking right close to the front of the store, taking up the parking that the customers had. So he put out a rule and said all employees will park at the far end of the parking lot and mark it that way. So he went around to check on his next tour, and he went to this one store, and it was raining pretty hard. So he was in his car, and people knew he was coming. They were watching to see if he was going to take the vacant spot right in front because it was raining hard, or was he going to walk the talk and follow what he said. Sure enough, he went to the employee side of the parking lot and walked into the store dripping wet because he didn't have an umbrella. His suit was all messed up. That story made it around pretty quickly as a point. You're reinforcing the point, your values. Just because I'm the CEO doesn't mean I can't follow the policies. So it's something to watch for in any organization. Match culture with objectives and people with culture. What was the point there?
Knowing what you stand for, aligning your culture with it, and hiring people that fit that culture. Just making sure you have that consistency of vision throughout.
Yeah, cultural fit is something I've seen quite a bit. I worked with another retired officers, we try to help people get, as they retire from the military, help them find employment. So they have to take this and get to know themselves better, and then we teach them some skills about interviewing and networking, resume writing. But one of the topics we discuss with them is cultural fit. And that is probably the one thing, the higher up you go in what you're trying to hire for, you're hiring for a very high level position. Your fit with the culture is going to be highly scrutinized, so they have to be very much aware of that. And the military culture and the business culture are going to be different, very different. Not good or bad per se, but just different. And so you got to be sensitive to
I like that it refers to hiring for attitude and behavior, not so much skills.
that.
I've experienced that a lot. That's been, it works. Because you can't teach behaviors. I mean, that's learned when we're really little. We can coach them on what the expectation is, but it's still up to them to change that to where if it's a new grad or somebody, I can teach them and show them how to do it. So
They got to be willing to learn, they have to be open-minded. And so,
You teach skills, it's hard to teach attitude. Very good to teach.
especially when they're older people. Like us.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that.
We are the older
It's hard
people.
to change our ways.
Mindful of the old people. Okay. Relationship building skills. Okay. On the ladder, your relationship skills deepen in your perception of relationship one. But this table shows how that changes as you go up. Progression of relationships. Okay, so you can see how in this pyramid there's a very tiny group up at the top of trusted, going from targeted to tentative to transactional to trusted. And that's where you want to be, is right up there at the top. You want to be in a trusted relationship. I think your leadership philosophy will help you do that. I think sharing with people who you are. I was going through some research on this issue of trust the other day, and there was I think I mentioned this. No, I guess I was telling somebody else. A survey was done by the New York Times and CBS in 1999. And the question was, what percentage of people do you trust? What do you think the number was?
It was low, 30%, 20%.
You're right, 30%. In general, what percentage of people are trustworthy, right? So, how do you improve on that? Well, the question was, what's the percentage of the people that you know that are trustworthy? What percentage of the people you know are trustworthy?
Is it higher?
Yeah.
It's 80.
70.
So about building
So-
relationships.
So jump 40 points simply on the basis of knowing the person. So what's that tell you? It tells you that people, once they get to know you, there's a greater likelihood of trust. So don't be shy about sharing leadership philosophy, sharing information about yourself with others, and asking them for the same. This information about what are your dreams? What are you about? Get to know them on a personal level and really create a good solid bond. But that's what you want to aspire to, is trust. Goes back to the speed of trust. So here's some 10 best practices in the conversations that deal with building relationships. This first one has to do with electronic media. And so the next time you want to write an email that and blast somebody with it, that says, put it in a draft, and then read it as if somebody in your family was going to read it, and then figure out whether you really want to send that email.
I liked it. It said delete it and speak to the person, right?
Yes,
Not
right,
to ever,
right.
because I think what we say sometimes at work is write it, save it, sit on it for 24 hours before you send. But this was like,
Don't even send it.
don't
Yeah,
even send it, delete it.
Yeah.
If it
I
made
would
you that
never-
upset, you need to talk.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, when I was with Booz Allen, there was a very, very senior partner. One of the senior partners, probably the third most senior in our part of the organization. And he got ticked at something. It wasn't a specific person. It was a group of people that weren't complying with a policy. And it was just, people weren't taking it seriously. And he just sent out an email and said, well, if I don't get compliance here, I'm just going to go to HR. We're going to get all these people terminated.
Wow.
Got everybody's attention, but it also alienated a lot of folks. And I let somebody, when I heard that and saw that, the next time one of the partners came down to visit us, they always ask their, they get the big group, then they all leave and they hold about 5 of the senior managers behind and say, okay, tell us what's going on. And I let him have it because of what this guy did. So, when that stuff leaks out, or that kind of stuff happens, it demoralizes, does more damage, and it's terrible. And, was not a pretty discussion.
Well, do you have a recommendation, like Michelle and I, a lot of our people work out in the field, so it's hard to build those relationships, or it takes a lot longer time to do that, to where we use a lot of email to communicate. So I do a lot of what Michelle, even if I'm not upset, I'm just trying to communicate whatever's going on for the day. Is I wait, I sit on it, I go back, I read it, I retype it a little, because I'm trying to be aware of how it can be taken by 55 different people.
Yeah.
But it's one thing I struggled with. I've been over there 4 years now, because when I'm on a unit and all my people are together all the time, I'm walking around, I'm rounding, I'm chatting, and and so it's been a learning experience for me, and I still don't feel I'm doing it effective as I would like to, but I think it's just kind of the territory as well.
Well, let me ask you this. How often do you get to go see them face to face?
It varies. I mean, they're in and out of the office throughout the day. So some start off in the morning there, some in there, and then some are swinging by throughout their day as they're going to various patient homes. So I have rounding blocked out on my schedule every day for about an hour. And so it just depends with my meeting. So during that time, I'm walking in my department and seeing who's there and having those conversations. But I mean, it could be 30 days or longer before I could actually visually see somebody. And that's usually at our staff
And
meeting.
is that because what?
Because they're 90% of my people are out in the field. So,
Right. But they do still come back to the same
Yeah.
building.
but they're
So
all
why don't you
different.
make it a point to find out from them, to say, hey, look, if you're here, we haven't seen each other in a couple of weeks, why don't you come and see?
Yeah, and we do that actually. But I'm loaded with meetings every day, basically. So it's hard with my schedule and their
Might not be
schedule.
the same thing. What about Skype and FaceTime? Like, so at least you can see them. I know it's not in person. But
Yeah, we just started doing that a few months ago for our meetings, because sometimes it's hard for them to to kind of-
Well, I'll tell you, here's a technique. This is really good. You like this. So, out there. So, I took over this job as an aide to a two-star general. I was a captain who was a two-star general. This, I think I showed you this guy's picture, right? Did you take the guy from
Yes.
Korea?
Just the helicopter where you're
Yeah, helicopter.
Yeah.
So I took over. I was aide for him the second time as a captain, and I'd been in the job about a week. And he called me into the office and he said, "What'd you do?" Secretary, she's ticked off. Sharon Potter was her name. Black lady. She was mad. I said, "Well, here's her complaint." She said, "First of all, why did she tell me?" Probably because he is her boss. I'm not her boss. But anyway, what I was doing is the mail would come in and I'd open up the mail, which is what I used to do when I was in Korea. Anything the boss was going to get, I opened it up and looked at it. Every single, unless on the front it said, "For eyes only," or personal. Well, that was her job. She wasn't about to have some young guy do this. But what it reminded the general that he had failed to give me guidance about how to manage his time. He said, "So come up with a time management concept for us to work." And this is, I say this because I think everybody ought to have a time management concept if you're in the workplace, because it'll pay off. So his responsibility, his number one responsibility for in the Army was to train soldiers and units to get ready to go to war and to make sure all their equipment was ready and so forth. Knowing that that's his task and his mission, he wanted us to go out in the morning and spend the entire morning every single day, all the way until 1 o'clock. Because he never took lunch. He'd always just grab a little yogurt or something out of the refrigerator when he came back. So we'd leave at 9 o'clock and come back at 1. So for 4 hours, we're out, seeing soldiers, seeing leaders, watching what they're doing, activities. So you really get a pulse on what's going on. And you're always interacting with people. And he's not stuck in an office in some meeting. And then his staff also had all that time to work on actions and so forth that they could bring to the chief, work with the chief of staff back there. And then when the chief, then he came back, then the chief could walk in and say, "Okay, here's the status of everything." And I kept a couple people behind. They need to talk to you directly and so on and so forth. Very efficient use of time. You really had a pulse in the organization. Everybody got to see the boss. I don't know if that's something that applies to you, but I think it paid off richly because the division, in those days, there were 13 divisions, and it was last in the order of master priority list in terms of all the resources it was supposed to get. And he had to push, he'd been told to get it moved up, improving its readiness and getting it ready to go if need be to deploy into war and so forth. So he had a lot of work to do. It was the division was in rough shape, very, very bad shape. The equipment was in terrible shape. So I think, how would that apply to you? I think, for you might want to pick a day, 1 day a week, where you're gone all day.
Yeah. And I try to do that, but not as frequent.
Yeah.
Like my boss, she schedules once a month, and she'll come around with me, and so then we'll walk to the area and talk to people.
Yeah.
And she's actually coaching me to make sure that I'm rounding for purpose and building relationships.
Yeah.
But then
Right.
we'll also go to a patient's home and watch one of our clinicians,
Yeah.
in the patient's house, and then I'll talk to the family as well and stuff. So
See, now what do you think that does for you?
For me,
Like they're going around and you're actually seeing the patients and the caregivers that are working around that. But what does that do for you?
I enjoy that part, because I'm pulled so much in the opposite direction. So I'm way away from patient care now.
Yeah.
But the relationship piece has always been a big piece of mine that I've just always enjoyed. So
Relationships, for sure.
um,
In the context of this discussion, what about developing others? How does that help them?
so then I'm coaching them, and so that's the expectation. And so when we leave, then she'll say, "Here's some, coaching on what you may want to do differently or whatever." And then she says, "Now tell me what you're going to coach your caregiver on when you can meet with them." And then I'll go through that, and then she'll give me pointers or
Right.
say, "No, that's great." So, and then we meet with them and.
How does it help your decision making?
She's really easy about, she says, "So how would you do this?" Like one instance was about, do I write somebody up or not? So I was explaining my reason and she's like, "No, I understand." And she said, "Well, here's kind of what I would think." And she explained and basically she said, "Just let me know what you decide to do." She goes, "There's no right or wrong. I just would like to know." And so we follow up. So that part's really nice that she's not pushing her way, but just giving advice on how she would look at it.
Yeah.
And then trusting me to make the right call based on me knowing that clinician better.
But wouldn't your decisions be better informed if you saw more of
Yep.
the delivery going on?
Mhm.
I mean, you can look at data, and that data is not going to change much, but then you get a better feel for how your decision is going to be impacting and being implemented.
Right.
Because you're very current on what's going on.
You can see the struggles firsthand too, the challenges.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you can hear things, they're having trouble with their computer system on their iPad. But then when you're out with them and you see,
How
man, that really is
slows it down.
impacting
Yeah.
20% of their day and it's making them ineffective, but they would still want to deliver. So they're doing it at night. I mean,
Yeah.
you see it. Picture's worth 1,000 words, right? So
Yeah, you can feel the pain with them and imagine the impact that has on